Hello, everybody. I understand that it's been a very long time, and I am very sorry. I've just been going through a lot, emotionally and mentally, and I just needed a little break. That's all. But today's video is going to be about what it means you know, to be healing, or what it means to, you know, find comfort in other things that you think of as healing. Um, I'm going through a little part of my life where, I'm trying to heal. As some of you guys know, if you guys are close friends, or if you guys have watched any of my other videos, I've struggled with liking myself. I've struggled with enjoying my own presence. I have. Um, but I've been learning to appreciate myself more. Um, I used to be really scared. I used to be really scared to be alone. And don't get me wrong, I'm still like more than ever. I don't think I'll ever not be scared of being alone. But I definitely think that you know I've come to terms with the fact that, no matter what I do, and no matter like how much effort I put into something, there's always going to be time where I'm alone. And yes, that does hurt. That hurts a lot. Because I mean, like being alone is one of my biggest fears. I don't like to be alone. I don't like to be alone. And it's not because like I'm afraid of what's gonna happen or anything like that. I would much rather surround myself with people that I feel actually love me than I would around myself. But I need to learn to love myself before I can do that. I can't just always rely on other people. Eventually I've got to end up relying on myself. I don't rely on myself a lot. I really don't. And um, with this time that I've had, I've been able to rely on myself a bit more. I've been able to look at problems, see them, view them, and sit there and be like, hey, you know, uh, like, hey, I'm proud of myself. Like, like I'm proud of myself for the fact that I was able to, handle that problem. And I'm proud of myself for the fact that I was able to, you know, capture that problem and, make a good thing out of it. I don't I don't want to rely on people forever. Obviously, there's going to be times where like I do rely on a person, but you can't just rely on one person for absolutely everything because you'll only end up, losing yourself. You really will. Um, One another thing that I've also, kind of learned is that, it's okay to not be okay. I know it's a really, really like, you know, critique or, generic saying, people say a lot, but it really is okay to not be okay. It's okay if, you really don't feel the best about a certain aspect of your life or anything along those lines. However, it's fully up to you and for you to change that. If you want something done, you have to take the initiative to change it, and you have to be the one that does it. And I understand that that could be kind of scary for some people, but it happens in every person's life. And I'm not trying to like tell people that like if you don't do this, you're gonna end up like alone. Like no, because I mean like I've been there. Like I've had parts of my own family, be like like listen, you're supposed to be a man. Just suck it up. Don't I've had that's happened to me, and obviously It doesn't. It 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 kind of hurts just because there's sometimes where I go to like a family member, seeking help, and they're just like, well, you're a boy, why do you need help? And it's just like, but like seriously, men and women both are more than eligible to, not be okay. They really are. And if anybody tells you that that like it's not okay for you to not be okay, they're wrong. Don't let anybody ever tell you that because it's a lie. Like it really is. Without a doubt, it is a lie. Um, I've had a lot of time to think about some things, think about other things, and I don't know. Um, I'm happy that I've been blessed with this, blessed with the time to change. Um, I'm changing for I'm changing for myself, and I'm also changing for other people because there are some people in my life that I don't want to let down, and there are some people in my life that don't deserve to be let down, if that makes any sense. So you know I'm not gonna let them down. I'm not gonna let those people down, and neither should you. It doesn't matter if, you're the last one in your bloodline. You should still, fight for yourself. You should fight for how you feel, for how you want to be treated. You should fight for what you think is right. That's the only thing that matters. I know I've talked about that in like some of my other videos about how like important, it is to contribute your own thoughts and like your own aspects on a lot of things, and it genuinely is. It is one of, if not the most important things that you can do to your journey of self-improvement. And obviously I'm not like some freaking health guru. Like I don't know every single step of perfection of healing, but as a human being that is trying his hardest, that is giving it all he's got, that's you know trying, that's living every day just like everyone else, I think i'm doing I'm doing good. I think I'm doing good. And there's a lot of areas where I can and do need to work on more. Like there are a lot of areas where I do need to work on myself more, and I should, but I will. I can't. You can't just keep on pushing off this stuff. Like, I will eventually. I will tomorrow. No, because then it's never gonna happen. You gotta prioritize it. If you don't really have anything else going on with like, trying to change your life, prioritize it. Nothing's nothing's gonna stop you. Nothing's gonna hurt you. I want, obviously again, I know like as some of you guys know, like I'm not the best like mentally equipped to like be here giving all this like mental health advice, but I seriously think that like as long as someone like if someone truly wants to help someone, and if someone truly, wants to, make things right, and, do what they think is right, then they'll do everything in their power to, try and, better themselves. And I guess in a way, this is my way. I'm trying to help others because, I know how it feels to just be like lost, to you know for you to feel like nobody really is there for you. I know how it feels, and I don't want anybody to feel that way. It's a very, very, very horrible feeling, and I don't think anybody, deserves to feel like that. I think every single person on earth deserves to feel love. I really do. There's no reason in resorting to, anger or, violence. There really isn't. Um, I'm I know this video is, probably one of the shorter ones, and I do apologize. I plan on making another one. I've had a lot of feelings that I've, been wanting to get off my mind and get off my chest recently. So I think I'm gonna, make some more after this. But um, thank you all for watching. I hope that this video assisted you or helped you in any way, with bettering yourself or, bettering another person. I hope you guys had and, are having an absolutely amazing day. Thank you all so much for the support on TikTok and, on here. Thank you all so much. I will leave it at that. Thank you all, and goodbye.